Hello my favourite people, welcome back to the Tea Sipping channel. I am BritishRedditor and today we are taking a deep dive into the horror stories of r/letsnotmeet. Just before we get into it, I'm trying to get to 100 subs by the end of the month, so any help towards that will be really appreciated. Let's get into it. CATER goes ballistic when he realizes I'm engaged, forces his way into my bedroom to steal my dirty underwear, and breaks in the next night. My fiance and I threw a dinner party one time to celebrate his mum completing chemo. I hired a caterer. We were expecting 25 friends and family, so it was more than a kitchenette or a single-story ranch house could handle. We'd also only just moved in, so didn't have a lot of cooking staples. The caterer said he'd bring everything 75% done, but he needed to finish off some dishes in our kitchen. I told him that was fine as long as he was finished by 5 o'clock because the kitchen is centrally located and we'd prefer everyone to finish before the guests arrived due to the intimate nature of the occasion. He said that would be fine. He arrives as scheduled at 12 PM, we gave him until 5 o'clock and the guests aren't even arriving at 6 PM, so it's plenty of time. He smelled like actual dog crap. But his accent sounded European, so I thought maybe he just didn't believe in deodorant. It was more than a sweat smell though, it smelled like a sun-baked diaper, and that made me uneasy because he was going to be preparing food for a sick prior and young kids. I just made sure he washed his hands and then left him to his own devices, worrying I was being a bit too presumptuous. Throughout the entire process, he keeps putting me aside to ask me questions and have me taste things. I was super busy because my husband had to work during the day and pick up the surprise guest right after, so setting up the deck, decorating, putting together the slideshow equipment, coordinating the surprise guest, we flew in her sister and I had to make sure she got an Uber at the airport and her hotel had worked out, etc. And just a million other details. So every 10 minutes being asked things like, do you prefer this with the paprika or without? With is fine, whatever you think. Taste it to be sure, was getting old. When he was still there at 5:45, after 2 gentle reminders, I flat out told him I needed him completely out by 6, no matter what. He apologised and said that there had been a delay because our oven wouldn't stay up to a temperature. I had never had a problem with our oven, but I figured he's a professional, maybe it was a subtle problem. A little before 6 rolls around, a few of our friends started trickling in. I decided to tell him whatever's done is done and whatever isn't he should just put in the fridge, but he's nowhere to be found. I go out on the deck to ask my friends if they'd seen him and he's out there, alcohol beverage in hand, out of his chef white and now in a tee and jeans mingling with my friends. I walked out just in time for him to introduce himself to my cousin-in-law as a good friend of mine. Nope. Too weird for me. I met him in person for the first time barely 6 hours ago. I told him he needed to leave. Now. So he goes inside and gets his bag, and makes a beeline for my bedroom. I'm taken aback. I say, excuse me? Where are you going? And he says, to change. So first of all, we have a guest bathroom clearly visible. Second, why can't he wear a t-shirt and jeans home? I tell him I'm not comfortable with him going in my room, but he insists it'll only be for a second and goes in and shucks and locks the door. I couldn't even get a word out before he went in and felt helpless. I was going outside to ask one of my friends to help me usher him out, but at that point my fiance got there, with my aunt-in-law. I had to explain the situation to him, nearly in tears at that point, and he was like, what? You went in the bathroom? Why? So he pounded on the door and the caterer came out still in a t-shirt and jeans and my fiance said, you shouldn't be in there, you need to leave. And the caterer said, excuse me, but this is not your house. It is not up to you to decide. And my 6'4", 260-pound fiance tells him, yes actually, it is his house, and puts a hand on his back and guides him to the door. The caterer says, I thought Frantic Sledder lived here. And he says, yes, my fiance lives here with me. And the caterer goes nuts. He turns to me and screams, you lied to me, you female dog. I have no clue what he's talking about. He starts yelling about how I led him on and calling me a B-word some more. I don't know who he thought the man in the pictures with me around the house was. So my fiance says, oh no, you won't talk that way in my house, find the door. And the caterer goes in the kitchen and starts throwing the trays of food out of the refrigerator and on the floor. At that point, my fiance realised 2 of his brothers, both currently offensive linemen at the college level, had come in and were on the deck. He signalled to them and they came inside and he basically said, this guy is harassing Frantic Sledder. Since they're family of all boys and my fiance is the first to get married, they don't get to flex their protective muscles too often and jumped at the chance to toss this guy out. The party then went on as planned, but I insisted we just order pizza and throw out all the food he made. My fiance and friends kept saying, "Isn't that a bit too much?" But I was insistent. We went out late drinking with his brothers and got home at around 3:30 AM and passed out in our room. At around 5 AM, I was woken up to the sound of the door opening. I figured either we forgot to lock the door in our drunken stupor and it blew open, or one of his family forgot the keys or something in the house and didn't want to wake us up. His parents and his local brother have a key. But his parents never ever let themselves in when they know we're home. And his brother had even more than we did and was definitely not awake driving around at 5 AM. It wasn't nearly windy enough for the door to have blown open, as it had been a tranquil night. So I wake up my fiance and whisper, "Someone just came in the house." And he said the same thing. Probably my brother left his wallet or something. I figured I am being paranoid and tried to put it to rest when I heard a loud crash sound. With that, my fiance was up and on his feet in one movement. He told me to lock myself in the closet and call 911 while he went and looked around. As I was pulling out my phone, we hear in this distinct accent, "Frantic Sledder, hello?" And I realize it's just this insane caterer. I'm not worried about this caterer physically overpowering my fiance, or me for that matter, so I charge right out there. The caterer is shirtless and clearly on something. He's taking the pictures that are of just me off the wall and holding several in his arms already. He lunges towards me when he sees me. My fiance gets between me and him and I call 911. Fiance tells him cops have been called and it is in his best interest to get off the property. Caterer says, "No, I have to make sure Frantic Sledder is okay." And I say, "What? Why wouldn't I be okay?" And my fiance rightfully says not to engage with him and feed into it. My fiance stays between me and him while I climb out the window. He watches as the caterer throws photos of us on the floor. Fiance didn't want to subdue or touch him in any way, so the caterer couldn't make any assault claims. He's begun to destroy our kitchen at this point, and when the cops come in, he has a butcher knife. My fiance considered going for the gun safe when he first got the knife since we live in a stand your ground state, but he decided that the situation was hectic enough without introducing a firearm. Caterer doesn't obey police's orders to drop his weapon, and he says he isn't leaving without me, so they tase me. It's lucky for him he only got tased, and he didn't antagonize my husband into squashing him. As he's led out in cuffs, he's shouting how he and I are in love and it figures I chose a macho thug over a sweet, sensitive artist like him, and all women are whores, etc, etc, etc. He continues on this tirade the entire time police are reading him his rights. The police ask us to do an inventory of the house and see if anything's missing or damaged besides what we witnessed him do. We go around and there's nothing. But then I remember he was in our room yesterday and I go through our room. All my panties from the dirty laundry hamper were gone and my vibrator had been removed from where I keep it. We were so freaked out in the aftermath that we replaced all our kitchenware, toothbrushes, sent our sheets to be professionally cleaned, and I had a cleaning crew do a deep clean in the whole house. So glad we decided not to serve the food to our guests and my fiance's medically fragile mother. He sent me a letter from prison that thankfully my husband intercepted because I was still recovering from the whole thing. We gave it to a police who helped us get issued a no contact order. He was sentenced to 3 years in prison 5 years ago, so he's out by now, but thankfully we did not meet. Jeez, I am getting insane nice guy vibes from this dude. I guess they can just appear from anywhere. But in all seriousness, I feel really sorry for OP. That must have been a horrible experience. How my long nails saved me from abduction. I'm writing this from my phone, so sorry in advance. I was 12 at the time and I had grown long ass nails. They were also filed into sharpish shape. Since I didn't know how to ride a bike yet, I decided to go into the field with my brother, who was around 10. He brought his bike and I started to learn how to ride a bike into a secluded-ish path to the left of the field entrance. About 10 minutes after arriving, a man goes into the field, which I thought was odd because he didn't have a dog or anyone with him. I just continued riding my bike. Skip all the boring stuff, but when I started walking back down the alleyway, it was getting dark. My brother decides to bike away from me. I was fine with this because he will meet me at the end of the alley. I hear footsteps behind me and the same man, you guessed it, is walking the same direction. I carried on walking, a little creeped out. Suddenly, this creep gets me in a headlock and covers my mouth. I was kicking and trying to scream. Then I literally clawed at his hands as hard as I could. He literally screams in pain, and my nails are bloody ASF. I ran away. I told my parents and we called the police. Sadly, he was never caught. So to the random crate that I scratched, let's never meet again. My nail sadly broke because of how hard I scratched him, but it was worth it. Well, I would think so. I mean, the alternative would mean you get completely kidnapped. Anyway, thank you lovely people for watching. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and leave in the comments what you want me to cover next. And again, trying to hit 100 subs by the end of the month, so please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.